Okay, so Abhishek, I'm a 25-year-old entrepreneur, soft skills trainer, event manager, public speaker, social activist. I run this pan-India event company named Footprints Events, wherein we organize a series of events and we curate, design, and conduct events for corporates, for schools and colleges. And the whole motive is to make experiential learning an integral part of the education system. Coupled with this, I run Finesse Academy. It's an institute for providing soft skills and personal development training to youngsters, professionals, and individuals. And as I'm truly blessed to be working in a domain that challenges me to innovate every single day.
So, hello everyone. We are back with another episode of Humans of Michigan. I'm your host Abhishek Kumar. Once I heard a quote by my favorite author, Paul Coelho, that if you want something, whole universe conspire in helping you to achieve it. And today we have a live example of that, Suema Ahmed with us, who is a live example of hard work and success. She is a social activist, TEDx speaker, founder of Finesse Academy and Training. She is the winner of 500 plus oratory competitions and also conducted 1500 plus workshop in the area of soft skills development. Hi, ma'am. How are you?
Thank you so much for that generous intro, Abhishek. I have been amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope we have a prolific conversation ahead.
Yeah, definitely, ma'am. I'm so glad to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you, Abhishek.
So, ma'am, I would like to express my gratitude on behalf of whole team of Michigan. We are so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Abhishek. In fact, I appreciate all of you guys at Mitti De Rang for conducting such back-to-back prolific interviews with people and adding so much value to the lives of people during the lockdown. So amazing initiative, and I hope you guys continue to astound and astonish people with all your innovative ventures.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am. That means a lot to us. So, ma'am, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your family.
All right. Okay. So, Abhishek, I'm a 25-year-old entrepreneur, soft skills trainer, event manager, public speaker, social activist. I run this pan-India event company named Footprints Events, wherein we organize a series of events and we curate, design, and conduct events for corporates, for schools and colleges. And the whole motive is to make experiential learning an integral part of the education system. Coupled with this, I run Finesse Academy. It's an institute for providing soft skills and personal development training to youngsters, professionals, and individuals. And as I'm truly blessed to be working in a domain that challenges me to innovate every single day. And well, to be very honest with you, the lockdown phase, the last 4 5 months have been a complete game changer for me. I never spent so much time learning and innovating and brainstorming with my team. So we've done a lot of exciting workshops in the last 4 5 months and a lot of live events like these. So that's about me. And I'm an MA in English literature, MA psychology, and MA political science. And my mission is to help my people, my learning community, reach the world class in their personal as well as their professional lives.
This lockdown is very, very beneficial for me as well. It is also a game
Wow.
changer for me. I always wanted to conduct this podcast session with some amazing people, and here I am conducting with you.
And by the way, Abhishek, I truly appreciate your patience and perseverance. You know, the way you're networking with people, trying to find the best people to come and interact with you, the way you're networking on LinkedIn and Instagram. I appreciate all your efforts. And I'm so sorry we are late in conducting this session. We've been planning probably for a month now, and
Yeah.
here we are, materializing your vision.
No, ma'am, that's totally all right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your appreciation. So, ma'am, when I saw your profile on Instagram, I observed that this hashtag you use below every picture, that is forever fears. So,
Yes.
ma'am, can you please explain a little bit about what is the idea behind it?
All right. So honestly, Abhishek, it was like a bolt from the blue. I didn't really, it's not a very thoughtful move. Actually, it happened because I think a couple of years ago, there was a trend of hashtag. So we had people using hashtag with their photographs, with their names, with their social handles. So I really wanted to have something that represents me, the work I do, the fire in my belly. And that's when I thought of Forever Fierce. Well, honestly, there's no logic behind it because I'm obsessed with this, with the alphabet F, because Footprints Private Limited, Finesse Academy, Forever Fierce show. So I wanted to have something with F, so Forever Fierce. That's all about Forever Fierce. And basically, I wanted this hashtag to be an embodiment of the work I do, the impact I'm creating, the energy I possess, and eventually, the mission I am into right now. So I hope I'm doing justice to it, to this hashtag. In fact, the interesting thing is that Abhishek, my TEDx talk is titled Becoming Forever Fierce. I'm writing a book, well, that's an inside story. I'm writing a book right now, which will be published, inshallah, in next couple of months, titled Hashtag Forever Fierce. So yes, that's the inception of the hashtag, and I hope it goes places and we bloom and flourish in the days to come.
That's amazing. That's something different. I also remember I use my own name as a hashtag, like Abhishek Kumar below my picture. So that is something interesting. Yeah. So, ma'am,
Thank you, Abhishek.
in your TEDx talk, you told about your life, like how you got into public speaking and how you start this thing. So, can you please tell that story to our audience?
Oh my goodness, you remember that? The Bell's
Yeah,
palsy one?
that yes, ma'am. That story is very
Okay.
inspiring, ma'am.
How nice of you, Abhishek. You've done your homework well, by the way. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. So Abhishek, basically, I've been a socially awkward person. In my school life, I remember the first event of my life. How did I take part in that first ever inter-school elocution competition? So I still remember 8th standard, summer vacations, and I was all of a sudden I got struck down by Bell's palsy. It's a temporary facial paralysis. But then more than that, it has been proven that the patients would not recover from Bell's palsy, the facial paralysis. They probably sustain it for the rest of their lives. And I remember going through a vigorous medical process, my medications, the antibiotics, the physiotherapy, all of these tedious number of processes. And I still remember 3 months and we did not really, I didn't recover well. There were no signs of solid recovery. So you can think about this, half of my face is paralyzed. You can't move your eyelashes, your nostrils become immovable, your lips. So this whole part, became immobile, and it became difficult for me to talk to people, to go out and meet people, because there was something very awkward, obnoxious medical condition. And I remember my physiotherapist telling me that, Swaima, we are trying our best to provide you the best physiotherapy every day, the best facial exercises, the best of medication. But eventually, if you do not put in efforts from your end to really rescue yourself from this disability, we will be helpless in the long run. So you have to do something. And this is a time, Abhishek, wherein I wasn't doing well in my academics. I have been an academically bright student, always, topper of my class. But that was a time when I didn't score very good marks because of in my oral exams. My speech was distorted. Imagine somebody holding your facial muscles and your speech, your pronunciation becomes distorted. You can't speak, communicate effectively. So you become a laughing stock for your own friends, Teachers sometimes fail to understand your dilemma. So that way it was a setback, honestly. And there came a time when I had gone to this competition, LIC's Foundation Day, and there were 2 competitions back to back. The first one, Abhishek, was a painting competition. I loved painting. I won prizes in painting and drawing competitions. So this had to be my event, And I went to part, completed my process, my painting, submitted, and we still have around 90 minutes for the prize distribution to begin. So what do? We happened to just peep inside the conference room to see what's happening in the other room, the other competition. And we had the extemporary speech competition going on, Abhishek. And my father was with me. So my father has been my greatest tower of friend. He's someone who walked an extra mile to see me grow holistically in my academics, extracurriculars, personal development, sports, every dimension. So, I remember daddy asking me to take part. I said, no, I can't do that. Never spoken on stage. And that too with this condition, impossible. He's like, no, because we still have time. What do we do? 90 minutes. So just go, introduce yourself, talk about your topic, just name your topic, say thank you and come back. At least you'll gain confidence to how do you hold a mic? How do you stand on the podium? Get the feel of it, and come back saying thank you. That's it. So I said, all right, maybe at the end of the day, I'm going to be getting the state level certificate of participation in an extemporary speech competition. So I just went ahead, Abhishek, I remember picking up a chit. It was an extemporary speech competition, Pick and Speak. So I remember picking up the chit, and the topic I got, astoundingly, was God helps those who help themselves.
Wow.
And that was the exact situation I was in,
Wow.
I knew it was my individual efforts that will help me recover and recuperate swiftly. So we had around 3 minutes to ponder over the topic, jot down the points and come and speak. I didn't do anything. Those 3 minutes went up in smoke. I didn't really prepare anything, no points, nothing. I went on the stage. So hi everyone, good evening. My name is so-and-so from the school. My topic is... And Abhishek, I honestly do not know that how did I get that reserved magical power? I began in full swing. I talked about the topic, my condition, and I've always been a big fan of quotes and the third person technique, using somebody else's lines and quoting them. So, I remembered a couple of quotes. I still remember this one that I talked about. It was, he basked beneath the moon. He slept beneath the sun. He lived life going to do and died with nothing done.
Wow.
So beginning with that quote, and talking about my condition and how, it's eventually your daily incremental progress, your determination, your devotion that gives you the edge over others and, whatever transition you're going through life. And I spoke well for 2 minutes, not very well, of course, but then I gave my best in those 2 minutes. Concluded, came back, sigh of relief, that's all. So I eventually went ahead to get the participation certificate. Now, at the end of the day, when we had the prize distribution ceremony, I was expecting the first prize in the painting competition. Unfortunately, I came back with a consolation prize. We had probably other better artists out there. Now, when they began announcing the results for the extemporary speech competition, the girl who's been winning every competition in town stood second. And I was taken aback. Devika standing second? Impossible. Let's see who is this person, the new orator of the town. And my name being announced as the winner of the competition. Honestly, that was a kaleidoscope of emotions, Abhishek. I was on cloud nine. At the same time, I didn't know. I was in a state of stupor, unable to think about it, But somehow I gathered courage to walk up to the stage, take my certificate, cash prize, Getting 5,000 rupees as an 8th class student was a big deal back then, you see. So coming back with the trophy, cash prize, oh my goodness. I think that was a needle mover of my life, Abhishek. That was a moment I realized that, we do have this limitless, unbridled energy to materialize our vision, or at least to break the barriers, the shackles of fear, And the first event of my life, coming back victorious, and eventually realizing that even if this medical condition persists, facial paralysis, it won't really hinder me in the long run, because if I have this monomaniacal focus on what I need to do, I am going to get it done no matter what, So that's how it began. And that was one moment that gave me a chance to convert my disability into my ability, Abhishek. And that since then, there was no looking back. I grabbed the opportunity to speak in every inter-school competition. Growing up, I went ahead to take part in intercollegiate events, went ahead to represent my university, Nagpur University, in a lot of state level, national level, international level competitions. And I'm so happy and blessed and grateful to have represented India twice in the International Youth Festivals as an Indian delegate for debates and elocutions.
Wow.
And as you mentioned, 500 plus victories in oratory events. I think it all began with that one moment of courage, Abhishek. One moment of courage in my eighth standard. I think that was one moment that gave me a chance to overcome my disability. I do have certain discrepancies here and there on my face right now. There's some imbalance when I smile and in other gesticulations. But eventually, the whole point is that I tried my best, to overcome my physical disability and convert my weakness into my strength. So today I am here as a speaker, primarily because I showed courage in that micro moment way back in my school life.
That is really very inspiring, man. Seriously.
Thank you, Abhishek.
You fill me with all the fire and inspiration. Really.
Amazing.
So, ma'am, as you are the best orator I know, so what do you say? How one should begin the journey as an orator?
Not the best, Abhishek. I am still a work in progress, and I'm trying to improve and enhance my communication skills every single day. And I really want to be the most impactful orator. So yes, how do we begin the journey? So are you talking about public speaking as a student or public speaking as a professional, Abhishek?
Yeah, public speaking as a student, because
As a
we
student, lovely.
we have a lot of students in MKR, so for that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So, Abhishek, number one, I want our viewers to understand the fact that public speaking is a game-changing skill we all need to possess today. We all know Jungle Ka Raja. We know, the king of fruits. We know the king of human emotions. Let's understand that the 21st century, the king of 21st century life skills is communication skills. To be more specific, public speaking skills. And according to a survey by Gallup, it has been proven that 85% of the people in the world fear public speaking. And when you research about the top fear of people, you will realize in almost every research, public speaking is in top 5, right? And I feel the remaining 15% people who say we don't fear are simply lying, because every single individual on the face of this earth fears public speaking, including you and I, right?
Yeah.
You still have the butterflies in your tummy, even if you have 10 people before you, even if it's a virtual audience, you still have that feelings of apprehension and anxiety. The whole point is to understand that you have to overcome your fear, manage your anxiety, and learn the art of public speaking. Whether you want to make a mark in your professional career, in your personal life, in your relationships, in your social arena, in your spiritual life, in your mental health, in your physical health, in your financial progress, in your academic dexterity, no matter what your aim in life is right now, public speaking will irrefutably give you an edge over others. You can outsmart your industry peers, outsmart people in your marketplace. You can, walk an extra mile in your academics if you learn the power of public speaking. It's not all standing up and delivering a speech before 10,000 people or 1,000 people, or hosting an event, or participating in a group discussion. I think let's try to normalize public speaking. Let's try to understand that even when you communicate with a group of 10 people in the college canteen, or you speak in a social gathering before 5 people in a wedding, it is public speaking, right? When you have people beyond 2 or 3 and you talk to them, that's public speaking. So you need not wait for that big moment to make the splash. Speaker, you need to first thing all we need to do as students right now is to pull up our socks and realize the first technique is simply to be aware of the opportunities. Awareness. Am I audible, Abhishek?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Am I? Okay. So
Yeah.
let's understand that you have to grab opportunities of public speaking. Grab every chance you get, whether you're hosting an event or talking to a group of people or participating in a group discussion or taking part in a mock interview. No matter what the assignment is, grab the opportunity. Do not run away. A lot of us consider a chance to speak up in public as a threat. Oh no, let's convert that oh no into aha, that aha moment, that excitement to speak up, no matter what you're speaking on, no matter how large your audience size is, no matter how prepared you are, grab the opportunity. Number one, aha moments of public speaking. The second one, Abhishek, is invest in your preparation, invest in your preparatory phase. It's said that we win trophies during our practice. We simply collect them after the competition,
Yeah.
right? That's the importance of your preparatory phase. Make sure you invest in your preparation. If you look at every global public speaker right now, whether it is Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King Jr. or Abraham Lincoln or Winston Churchill or Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, no matter who you look up to as your public speaking guru, you will realize that he or she invested incredible amount of time rehearsing or practicing, right? So invest in your preparatory phase. When I say preparation, it is about your content, your opening, body, conclusion, researching about your content, researching about your audience, keeping your body language in check, your verbal, your visual, your vocal communication, rehearsing your vocal variety. All of this is a part of your preparatory phase. Let's invest. Unfortunately, the kind of generation you and I live in, Abhishek, it's a generation of instant gratification. I mean, instant results chahiye. No matter what you do, you expect instant results in everything you do. But public speaking is a messy sport. You have to be really patient with your preparation, with the results, with the outcome you produce. And therefore, I say invest in your preparation, right? The third thing that we need to do as a public speaker, as a student, Abhishek, is analyze your audience, right? Analyze your audience. So I generally share this with my participants from my public speaking workshop, that if you want to analyze your audience, remember the spelling of audience. That's all. Remember the spelling of audience, and that's how you analyze your audience. So AUDIENCE, A for authenticity. Be yourself. Do not copy anybody in your field. Do not copy any public speaker you admire. Do not copy anyone's accent or imitate anybody else. Be yourself. As much as possible, be real, be vulnerable, commit mistakes. It's fine, right? The good news is that it doesn't matter. Even though the bad news is you will make mistakes, the good news is it doesn't matter in the long run. Nobody cares about it, right? So A is for authenticity, be yourself. U is for understanding, Abhishek. Understanding your audience, understanding where they come from. D is for demographics, AUD, demographics. What I mean by that is the age group of your audience, the gender of your audience, the educational background of your audience, the regional background of your audience, all the miscellaneous details that give you an idea about how your speech has to be crafted. I cannot talk about entrepreneurship to a group of farmers. Similarly, I cannot talk about the farming scheme, the farmer schemes to entrepreneurs. That's the point. Make sure that you know the demographics of your audience. हिंदी में कहावत है, आप शेर को मांस नहीं खिला, आप गाय को मांस नहीं खिला सकते हो और शेर को घास नहीं खिला सकते हो, दोनों मर जाएंगे, right? Which means that you have to really be careful of the demographics of your audience, right? D for demographics. I for interest, the key areas of interest, right? Talk to my audience. I really need to know what is my audience interested in, and I'll make sure I give them examples and stories and testimonials and statistics and data based on their key areas of interest. So AUDI, E for expectations. What is your audience expecting from you? So if I'm talking to my people, like for example, when you introduced me in the beginning, Abhishek, you've done a good job of building up my credibility. You built my credibility. When you shared posts on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you built my credibility, telling people probably she's the right person to guide you in your journey to become a public speaker, right? So building credibility is all about knowing what your audience expects from you and finally sufficing to their expectations. So AUDIE, N for basic needs. 3 basic needs of your audience. What do they wish to learn from you, right? What impact they want you to create in their lives, as an influencer, as an impact, somebody who looks forward to impacting people. What is your audience expecting from you, right? Their basic expectations from you. So AUDIENC. Audien. N for needs, their basic needs. So right now, expectations done, right? Interests done. What is the need of my audience, right? Their pain point. So pain point could be right now for us. A lot of people fear public speaking, so they do not even venture into public speaking. That's their pain point, their problem. Identify their pain points and then finally try to give solutions to the needs they have right now, Abhishek, right? So Audien, C for customization. Customize your content. The content I present to your audience, Abhishek, right now is very different from the content I will present. Maybe the topic remains the same, the theme remains the same. The content I will present to a group of people from school would be very different. The content I present to my educators and professionals or teachers from schools and colleges will be different from this content, right? If I'm talking to my own students in my workshop, the 10 days public speaking workshop, my content would be relatively different because I know their needs right now. So customizing your content based on your audience, customization, rigorous improvisation. And finally, the last one, Audince, for energy. You have to be somebody, you have to be that virtuoso or the titan or the possibilitarian who brings incredible energy into the room, right? Be it virtual energy or real energy.
Yeah.
So a lot of questions have been asked to me, Abhi, about my public speaking career. And one word that boils down one word that you would like to use to summarize public speaking. I generally tell my people that public speaking boils down to one word: energy. The energy you bring. If I am right now, if I have phenomenal content to share with you, value loaded content to share with you, and I'm sluggish, I lack energy, I do not have that aura that impacts my people, probably I fail to create the impact I look forward to creating, the deeper impact, and that's the reason you've got to be energetic about the topic you're talking about, right? And for that to happen, I love stories, Abhishek. I love sharing stories. I tell my people, do not tell a point without a story and do not share a story without a point. Right, that's the power of story. So do things that energize you, elevate you, inspire you, and in a way enlighten your people, your audience, your viewers. So the last one is energy. That's how I deconstruct the word audience, and that's something that gives you an edge over all the others in your industry. And that's how you begin your journey as a public speaker. So number one, awareness, aware of the opportunities. Number two, preparatory phase. And number three, analyzing your audience. And number four, just going and giving it your best shot. Even if you're making mistakes, no problem. Come back, analyze your do's and don'ts, your pros and cons, your strengths and weaknesses. But please make sure you practice, practice, and practice. You cannot learn public speaking by listening to a podcast. Of course, it is going to be very beneficial for you in the long run. But you cannot even learn public speaking by reading a book on public speaking or watching videos or watching stories or reels. No, you become good at public speaking by actually going out there, failing miserably, learning from your mistakes, and finally making daily incremental progress. That's the whole point. Small win principle.
Wow, ma'am, that is so much great, so much descriptive, and everything you have covered in this, like with the word of audience, and this is very, very good. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for telling me about this. So when I actually start, when I start public speaking, so there was a hotel in a restaurant in Saket named Hard Rock Cafe.
Okay.
So I was there. So there was the waiter was there speaking in English with me. So I was like a kind of person like who understand English and can able to speak English as well, but do not have that confidence to speak English in front of him because he was talking in a different accent. And so I asked him for the sugar, and I was like, can you bring him sugar? And I was like totally messed up. And that was the moment when I decided to do that thing. One day I will come to that cafe again and I will speak with that same waiter in this different accent. Yeah. So that's how I began.
Okay, interesting, interesting. So
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
we all have, an incident, a story
yeah.
that fired us up to do something incredible. I'm so happy to know about this. And that's how we become everyday heroes, Abhishek. You
Yes,
see,
definitely.
everyday heroes who are mindful and intentional of what they want from life, how they want to reach out to people, how they want to carve their niche in their
Yeah.
lives. Interesting.
Yeah, that is great, ma'am. So, ma'am, we know about how to deliver the message, just like you said about audience. But the thing we can deliver the message in front of our friends, in front of our classmates. But when it comes to like 100 people sitting in front of me, and we got up on stage, so a fear comes inside us. That is called the stage fear. So, how to overcome that stage fear, ma'am?
All right, interesting, Abhishek. I'm going to give you three solutions to it. Three points to remember every time you step up on stage. All right. So number one, first thing is to remember the fact that every person has this innate fear of public speaking. You are not alone, right?
Yeah,
The people who are watching us who will be watching this podcast. So for them, remember, guys, you're not alone.
yeah,
Every person who speaks up on stage has something called PSA, public speaking apprehension, right? We all have it, we all feel it. And as I mentioned, 85% of the people have it in them. So you're not alone, it's absolutely fine. And by the way, it is impossible to eliminate your public speaking anxiety. Impossible to eliminate. In fact, I call it converting this apprehension into positive pressure. You know you're feeling nervous right now. At the same time, you really should learn how to manage your anxiety. So the first point is learning how to manage your anxiety. Now, as individuals, what I do would be very different from what you could do
yeah,
as a public speaker, right?
yeah.
So managing your anxiety could be about doing things that help you be present in the moment, or something that helps you mitigate your anxiety. What could that be? So I know a friend of mine, who feels extremely nervous on stage, and what he does, Abhi, is going backstage and doing 100 push-ups. He's a fitness freak at the same time.
Yeah,
And
okay.
he comes on stage sweating profusely, and that's how he begins. Imagine a person who is so active cannot be absent in the moment ever, right? Similar, I'm not saying you do the same, but let's try figuring out our own tactic tools and mantras that work for us. So what we could do is, number one, do some deep breathing. Deep breathing, that sounds cliched, but please trust me when I say that the most confident person in the room is not the one who looks remarkably gorgeous or presentable, or who has a solid body language or a very interesting vocal variety. The most confident person in the room is the one with a normal heartbeat.
Yeah,
Normal heartbeat. So normalize it. Your heart is pumping so fast. Normalize it. Do some deep breathing. Number one. Number two, some vocal exercises. I mean, vocal exercises, as in the singers who sing every day. They have this riyaz session wherein they rehearse. They pump up their voice. They amp up their vocal cords. Do some vocal exercise so that you don't have to face tongue slips or mispronunciation here and there on stage. The second way. The third thing you could do is simply interact with the people. If you're too obsessed with your content, with your speech, with your script, that's something that is going to all the more magnify your anxiety. Chuck it in that moment. Talk to people. Try to find ways to lighten your mood, to enliven your mood. That's the third thing. Interact with people. Get to know them. Get to know the expectations from you. Right?
yeah,
The next thing you could do is simply, like what I do, is sip a glass of warm water or warm, not caffeine. Caffeine leads to mucus production, which may hamper your vocal variety. So a warm water, a warm beverage, or green tea, or anything that soothes your vocal cords, right? That's the third thing. The fourth thing you could do, Abhishek, the next idea about, normalizing yourself or finding your hacks, your anti-anxiety hacks, could be, simply meditating for some time, or
yeah.
maybe journaling for some time. What I do is I don't carry my scripts on stage, but I make sure before I go on stage, I just write down the key points I would be walking my audience through. That's like meditating on paper. You
I also
journal
do
for
the
some
same.
time. You
Yeah,
do the same?
yeah,
Lovely. So we have to find hacks that help us mitigate our anxiety, right? So the first thing is to simply remember, you're not alone. Everybody fears public speaking. The second thing is find your hacks that help you mitigate your anxiety, your nervousness, your apprehension, your PSA. Finding your hacks. Number three, Abhi, is simply being comfortable. Being comfortable. What I mean by that is you have to remember when you're talking to people, you're delivering a presentation, you are the most important person in the room. If you are not comfortable, people feel uncomfortable. People feel your discomfort. They may sympathize with you or they may mock at you, whatever the kind of audience you have. Make sure you're comfortable. So if there's anything bothering you, fix it. Do not, maybe you are not comfortable with the mic, try seeking help from the back end team or the organizers. Fix your mic. If you're someone who is you want to drink water, go drink water. You're someone who wants to have a cue card or a flash card with you, have it with you. Do not deprive yourself of the comfort of public speaking. Make yourself comfortable as much as possible. No compromise with your comfort, for that matter, right? That's number 4, because you are the leader of the room. You have to make yourself comfortable, right? The next idea, Abhi, is to know your audience. Remember one thing, that unaccustomed faces invoke fear. So अगर जाहिर सी बात है, public speaking की बात जब हम करते हैं, you have to encounter people you do not know at all. They're complete strangers, right? But when you've spoken to them, when you know the expectations, the analysis, AUDINCE, when you know that, somehow it improves and skyrockets your confidence massively, right? You become, you build empire of creativity because you know your audience well. You can create and co-create with them, right? So that's about anxiety mitigation, anxiety management tools, Abhishek. And that's what our audience should be doing. A quick revision. Number 1 is know that you are not alone in the room. Everybody feels that fear, that anxiety. Number 2, find your own hacks. Your hacks that help you, your tonics, basically. Right. The third one is to make yourself comfortable as much as possible. Number 4 is to know your audience, analyze your audience so that you connect with them, right? And number 5 is be prepared. If you're underprepared, you're probably not doing justice to the speaking engagement. You have to be over prepared for the meeting, for the engagement, for the assignment, for the public speech, for the public address. Be over prepared with your content, with your rehearsals, with your body language, with your vocal variety, everything put together. And that's how you manifest your eloquence in public.
Yeah, that is great. You are right about that thing, that we have to find our own tactics. What works for me is listening to a motivational song like before the session. So that brings a lot of energy inside me, and
true.
Yeah.
So true. Adding something more to it, Abhishek, since we talk about music and how you mitigate your anxiety, kai baar, one of the reasons why we fear public speaking is the fear of committing a mistake, the fear of failure. What if I make a mistake, And there are different kinds of mistakes we commit, So the best thing we could do right now, as a public speaker, you are in a position of power, always. And what kind of mistakes do we commit? Number 1, technical mistake. Any technical mistake. So what you could do is, if you really want to ace public speaking, remember that mistakes are bound to happen, right? Mistakes are bound to happen. What you could simply do is control your response towards it. What I do is, if I want to prepare myself fully, I make sure the best way to fight anxiety before public speaking is to have a checklist. Checklist as in, checklist maybe number 1 is my PPT with me, my pen drive with me. I keep a backup also, maybe somewhere, maybe Google Drive, I have my backup also. So in case my pen drive doesn't function, I become very paranoid, very pessimistic. What if this happens? What if that happens? There was a time, Abhishek, I had gone to, a corporate to conduct a presentation, and I carried my laptop with me, my pen drives with me. I carried my mic, of course, my mic with me. I carried, I thought, what if, there's power cut? Or what if my laptop doesn't function? What if my PP doesn't function? What if something happens, something miserable? I literally carried pictures of my slides with me, colored pictures of my slides with me, 15, 16 slides. And that's exactly what happened, There were so many technical issues over there, and we couldn't really have the PPT with us. And I showed the pictures I carried with me. So that's how paranoid we become. So the reason why we fear public speaking is because we have this fear of making mistakes. So what we do is don't suppress the fear, don't run away from it. Let's understand that if you have the list of things with you, checklist, before you go on the stage, checklist. Have I done this, done this, done this? Before you leave your place, have a checklist, that you can prepare a night before, and make sure you check everything before you leave. That's something that induces massive confidence in you. That preparatory confidence, so having a checklist and checking everything before you go there. Now, the mistakes we commit, as I was mentioning, is number one, a technical mistake. Make sure that you try to have your backups with you. Non-technical mistakes can be committed, Abhi. Non-technical as in, what if you make a mistake in terms of forgetting your content? That's the most common fear. What if I forget? What do you do in that case? Rehearse well. The second thing could be train your brain. So tell yourself, in case I forget, you need to have your backup, your reserved power, your extra material. So in case you forget this, you can share this. And like, you have to buy the time of your audience. Maybe in that phase, you share a story with them, or crack a joke with them, or maybe share a quote with them, share a data with them. So train your brain, And the next thing could be record yourself, listen to yourself, see your pain points, try figuring out solutions to it. And if not that, maybe you can have your cue cards with you, your flashcards with you, with your main points on it. We have something called the confidence screen. You have the screen. So in case it's a high-end event wherein you have your laptop with you, you have your screen with you, keep your points, your bullet points ready over there. And the last thing could be, make sure that you work rigorously on your fluency and fluidity. If you are someone who knows how to communicate effectively, it doesn't matter if you forget your content. Doesn't really matter. You can come up with your own content, your own, your own stories, your own backup ideas. So be fluent and fluid in your language so that you can find hacks, even if you forget your speech. And the last one is about the substance. What if I commit a mistake based on my substance? So maybe a factual error, or maybe if I offend somebody in the audience, or maybe if I defy logic, So the best way to overcome the third kind of mistake is to make sure that you cross-check your content, proofread your content. Do not have any kind of a factual error. Number two, do not speak anything offensive. You think it's something that will offend a group of people, a community, or a tribe, chuck it. Try being more generous with your audience, right? And if you think that you may defy logic, the best way to do that is to remember your speech has to be a blend of logos, pathos, ethos. Logos, pathos, ethos, right? When I say ethos means credibility. You have to make people trust you, right? Become credible. Have ethics when you communicate with them. Logos, logic. You have to be logical. You have to present, quotes and statistics and data and anecdotes and stories and examples that help people restore their logic in your topic. So be logical. At the same time, I say pathos, be passionate. Be emotional about the topic you are considering. That's pathos. Pathos means passion, emotions. So ethos, logos, and pathos. Remember this, and I'm sure you will create magic as a public speaker.
Yeah, that is very great. So what I use, like I was also like a kind of person who was scared to do mistakes on stage as well. So my mother was always work as a backbone for me. So she
Wow.
told me a lot of things like always read your content at least 5 times so that you can get the flow of the content, and even it actually always remain in your subconscious mind. If you forget something and if you got nervous, so you can actually
Absolutely.
recite that again in your mind, and then it will help you out. And the next thing he told to me that never scared to do mistakes on stage, because even the best speakers are making mistakes. I saw many news reporters do mistakes, but what they actually do, they have the talent to cover the mistake. like how to cover their mistake. Like if I,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, like if I say something wrong, so I will repeat that line. So that is like covering the mistake smartly. So that is what I learned from my mother.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, man. So, ma'am, when we are trying to like speak on stage, so sometimes there is a tendency we say and and a lot of things, like I used to say and like a lot of times, and repeating that thing. So how to overcome that thing?
All right, interesting. One of the most common problems that beginners face, the
Yeah,
beginner's blues in public speaking. That's what we call fillers,
yeah,
Abhishek,
fillers.
fillers
Yeah,
or vague words. So, and vague words, like you mentioned, very honestly,
yeah,
like, and. So these are the words we use. It's all right to use fillers. Number one, let's understand you cannot be impeccable as a public speaker. When you have your,
mm,
when you use these filler words every now and then, it makes you more authentic. Looks like you're pondering over something and you're speaking. It's justified. But if you overuse it, if you use it overtly in every sentence, in every paragraph, that's when Abhishek, you sound nervous, you sound anxious, you sound apprehensive, and you bore people. You're
yeah,
wasting people's time, right? Let's understand that. And that's the reason why all of us have to make rigorous efforts at eliminating fillers as much as possible. Once in a while, all right. But if you get used to it, and we get accustomed to it, by the way, we get so used to it that we try to buy people's time by using these fillers. And if you look at any terrific public speaker, they generally eliminate filler words, right? So what do we do to eliminate filler words or vague words? Three ideas. Number one, know thyself. Know your mistakes. Know the mistakes you're committing. Record yourself. Listen to your audio lectures, video yourself, film yourself, and try analyzing what you are doing. Try analyzing the mistakes you're committing. Try analyzing the frequently used filler words or vague words. Number one. Number two, the best way to overcome this is to replace your filler word with a pause. There's something called strategic pauses. So, जब मैं आपसे बात कर रही हूँ, I take a pause while talking to you. Now, if I take a longer pause, that looks awkward. But if I'm using a short pause, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, that looks intelligent, right? It looks like I'm pondering over something and speaking at the same time. Or maybe I'm giving you guys time to think about my topic, my agenda, right? So the second thing is simply to take a pause because it makes you look smarter and you cover up your pauses as well. The third thing here is make sure that you replace all your filler words with these short pauses. Go slow, speak slowly. Kai bar you use a filler word when you're very nervous, right? Very nervous, or maybe you've mispronounced a word, or maybe you wrongly labeled something, or maybe you misspelled something. Whatever it is, make sure that you're replacing your filler words or your vague words with pauses. Not a lot of pauses, because again, that's awkward. You have to do things in moderation. Don't go overboard with it. So pausing, understanding the mistakes you commit, number one. Number two, replacing your filler words with pauses, and knowing that these pauses help you appear smarter and more logical before your people can go a long way. And by the way, this does not happen overnight. Learning this technique and trying to apply, you take time. You take time to actually implement this idea and produce results. So make sure that you take a pause, you work on one filler word at a time, and be present in the moment. I'm talking to you right now. If I have something else in the back of my mind, I am bound to use filler words and spend too much time thinking to myself, right? On the other hand, if I'm present in the moment, I'm mindful of this moment, I'm intentional about what I'm talking about, that's something that gives you that much needed fluidity and fluency in your communication. So be mindful and give it your best shot.
yeah. That's great. So what I use is actually I always carry a water bottle with me, and I took a water break during the time if I forgot something.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. All right. A lot of kids also cough, so they would just cough, fake coughing
That
to
is also
remember or recollect their content. That's a boring thing now because we make out
yeah.
हाँ ये तो भूल गया है. Like in schools, remember elocutions came out the moment you cough, when you're coughing or when you're having water. Kids used to clap so that you go away from the stage
Yeah,
because they know you've forgotten your
that is
content.
yeah.
So well, pausing is a smarter way probably, and having a water. That's a good idea by the way.
Yeah.
Taking a sip of water.
So, ma'am, how
Yes.
one should coordinate with a presentation with the multiple people, because our way of delivering the message will be different from the other people. So, how we could coordinate with the during the presentation of multiple people?
All right. So number one, make sure that you pick up your area of expertise. There is something called SK, specialized knowledge. So if you are, trying to distribute the content between 3 to 4 people and trying to, deliver a presentation in a group, you're collaborating. The best thing to do is to make sure that you allocate the part of the presentation to the ones who are good at it, who are experts. So that's number one. Identify your area of expertise and pick up the topic that you can speak confidently about, even without a lot of preparation. So that's number one, smart allocation of content. The second thing to remember here, Abhishek, is to rehearse together as much as possible, multiple times, the dummy runs, the mock runs, so that you guys know what has to be done, who speaks when and who speaks next. The third thing when it comes to coordinating or collaborating is to make sure that you do a lot of spontaneous communication. What is spontaneous communication? If I am preparing my speech, my script is here and I'm narrating my script, that's prepared speech, As a presenter, you have to leave some room for improvisation. Improvisation. What is improvisation? 11th hour changes. So things like a Q&A with your audience, or things like, a normal interaction with your people, normal, communication with these co-presenters. So leave a lot of room for improvisation wherein not everything is prepared. You gauge the situation and you act according to it. You act according to the moment. That's very important. The third thing is leaving room for improvisation or 11th hour changes. The next thing to remember is to always have a Q&A session. Always have a Q&A session, and in the Q&A session, you need to have the liberty. So if you are 3 presenters, anybody can have the liberty to answer, or all 3 can contribute to the answer. So Q&As help you engage incredibly well with your audience. And let's remember that public speaking is about connection over perfection. Always, it's connection over perfection. And to connect well with your audience, you have to love your audience, but more than that, you have to engage with them. You have to engage with your audience. Reminds me of what Maya Angelou had once said. I may forget what you tell me, I may forget what you do to me, but I will never forget how you make me feel. That's the power of making your audience feel special, right? Please do not be I, me, and myself centric. Be you and your centric. Be your audience. Have an audience centric approach. If you hear the TED Talks and you analyze the kind of speech, the most popular and memorable ones, Abhi, you will realize that most of these TED Talks are story centric. Why? Because stories engage your audience with you. When you share a story, you trigger neurotransmitters like dopamine, endorphin, oxytocin, right? You induce these hormones, and that's how your audience engages well with you, because human beings are primarily emotional and not logical. So you may defy logic here and there, but then you've got to be emotionally connected with your audience. And I think Q&A is a good way to do that. Engage with your audience. Have tricks and techniques that help you connect at a deeper level with your audience, because your audience is your crown, not your content, not your co-presenters, your audience, and how your audience perceives you, how they perceive you as a leadership executive. That's more important.
So, ma'am, thank you for giving me. Yeah. So, thank you for giving me such meaningful information to us. So, let's move on to this, my favorite part of this interview, which is the fun part. So, now we are going to have a rapid fire round. I will be asking you some short questions. So, ma'am, your first question will be, which place you want to visit after COVID?
Anywhere. Just travel.
Yeah,
Just travel,
seriously. I
honestly, because
can,
all of us have been.
I feel the same.
Yes, so be it a long drive somewhere, a road trip, or anywhere, just go out there and really grab those old incredible memories back and recreate those moments. And we feel how we took these moments for granted. And
Yeah.
now is the time when we realize, oh my goodness, it's so important to live each moment to the fullest. And what better than traveling somewhere?
I'm also missing my college, the walls of that classroom and our fun and our canteen, everything. I'm missing a lot.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah. So, ma'am, who is your biggest inspiration?
No, all right. Okay, so Abhi, honestly, there are a lot of people I look up to. So when it comes to my fitness, there's somebody who stands as my epitome of inspiration. When it comes to my, professional life, my domain, there's somebody I look up to. So honestly, I do have a series of people I seek inspiration from every single day. But one thing that keeps me on fire, one thing that actually keeps me connected to my greatest vision and my highest values is my habit of journaling. So I'm somebody who journals every night. Now journaling is not just your to-do list, by the way. It's beyond that. It's your to-do list, your to have list, your to be list, so things like that. So I journal. So I'm gonna write the ideas,
I also do the
my
same. Not,
short-term goals, my
yeah,
long-term goals. Yeah,
yeah, not every night,
interesting. So
but once or twice in a week, like something important
yeah,
happened with me, that at that moment
yes,
I always write it,
right.
and yeah.
Right. So, I'm somebody who's a big fan of journaling. And for me, journaling is like meditating on paper. So no matter what I feel at the moment, I know if I'm journaling right now, if I write down what I go through or my plans or my agenda, it's going to make me feel so much clearer. It's going to make me feel so much calmer, so much centered. So journaling is one habit that gives me a lot of inspiration and helps me approach life every day, with this fire in my belly, with a fiery, forever fierce spirit.
Yeah. You know what the
Yes,
best part I think about journaling is, like if something bad or good happens with us, like something bad is happening with us, and we are sad about it, and when we start journaling, we always get the idea to get out from that situation as well. And yeah,
absolutely. And you find your own hacks, your own
yeah,
solutions, because
seriously,
eventually you are your best judge, right?
yeah,
You know what's right for you. You know how things will gradually fall in place. So, absolutely, that's a non negotiable.
yeah. So, ma'am, what will be your three wishes from Ginny?
All right. The first one is obviously for the pandemic to get over and
Yeah,
all of us, get back to our elite health and we get our normal lifestyles back. Of course, not everything was normal that we were doing earlier. So, number one would be the pandemic gets over really soon and people heave a sigh of relief and they start enjoying their lives to the fullest, at the same time taking care of the environment, of the other creatures, and leading a healthy survival. So that's number one. Abhi, the second thing would be, all right, interesting. Um, all right, so being a soft skills trainer, Abhishek, I honestly feel that somehow our present education system has turned a blind eye to the power of communication skills
yeah.
and how communication skills can change a child's perspective towards life and change the way he functions and operates in the world. So
I
my
also
second wish would
understand
be
the importance of communication skills while in my first year as well, because
okay.
till my 12th I was a kind of guy who also have the stage fear, and also a
Hmm.
kind of person who fear of speaking with someone, especially when it comes to speaking in English. So that is the
Hmm.
thing. So when I came to the
Right.
college, I saw a lot of people doing it, and they are doing it so confidently. So that actually
Where are you
motivates me
studying,
for doing it.
Abhishek?
Yeah, I'm studying in James Rohini.
All right.
Yeah,
Where is this? Which city?
yeah, Delhi, New Delhi.
Delhi. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. All right. All right. So yeah, that's the second wish, Abhi, that our schools realize the significance of
Yeah.
personal leadership, self-leadership, and that we incorporate curriculum. We incorporate this into our curriculum. And every child in the country, for that matter, should be taught the power of personal effectiveness, personal leadership, and effective communication skills. So, and a third one would be, okay, uh, the third one simply would be that what do I say? We all start enjoying lives again. You know,
Yeah,
wherein we
great.
know the power of the, especially our generation, wherein we are so lost, glued to our white screens and not really able to give our best and optimize results or calibrate healthy routines, So our generation being more aware and we become, the leaders who lead the trajectory of the nation, beginning with our own selves. They say that when I was clever, I wanted to change the world. When I became wise, I want to change myself. That's the power of self transformation. And I really hope that we start realizing this power and we start manifesting it, the innovation, the mastery, the self mastery, the authenticity, the grit, and the ethics in our lives every single day.
I'm moving on to your last question and my favorite question. Tell us about your best childhood memory.
Okay, so Abhi, the one I shared with you, remember?
Which one?
The bell
Acha, okay,
spell
okay,
see,
yeah, the best
that
one, yeah,
stands out. That stands, of course, when it
yeah,
comes to storytelling, I can go on sharing incredible stories, but
yeah,
that's something that stands out even today. There's
yeah,
another
definitely.
incident,
That is
Abhi, so
also
I
very
happened to be,
inspiring as well.
there's another incident I still remember, and that's I'm also a good writer, by the way. So I
Oh,
write
wow.
well, and I did not really know this talent, but I still remember as a student, as a middle school student, we have writing skills and essay writing, something called expansion of the idea. So, we got this question, expansion of the idea. And kids used to memorize their essays and their writing skill paragraphs and come and write down. I was someone who's always tried innovating and tried creating in the moment, And I wrote in my own words. I think the topic was all that glitters is not gold, the common
Yeah,
proverb. And I wrote in my own words, and it was a normal unit test exam. And I remember my English teacher, when she was distributing the papers after the test, she was someone who called me. She was an encourager, honestly, an encourager. She called me on stage on the platform, and she handed my paper to me. And I still remember, on the top we had this. I had this remark: very good writing skills. And I said, and she announced in the class that Swami was only one scored 515 in the expansion of ideas. And why? Because she wrote in her own words and not copied something from somewhere or memorized something. And she asked me to start to recite my paragraph, recite
wow,
my essay. And imagine that feeling of pride
yeah.
and excitement. You're reading your own writing before a group of classmates. And that's when I realized I can write well. And probably that one remark, very good writing skill, was, I think, a moment that gave me a chance to pull up my socks and realize that the ball is in my court. I can write well, And that's when I became a part of my school's editorial committee, going on to write magazine articles for various local magazines in the city, writing the middle space articles in the dailies and things like that. So I think it's very important for all of us right now, especially in these turbulent complex times, to start encouraging people, to start elevating, inspiring, and living people, so that they realize their true potential and they go out there as builders, empire builders of creativity and productivity.
That is also very, very inspiring, ma'am. Every story you are telling me, and all the stories are very, very inspiring. Seriously, ma'am.
Wow, thank you so much, Abhishek.
So, ma'am, it was very great interviewing you, ma'am. I would like to thank you again for your wonderful word and all your all educating us about communications and public speaking. And so, audience, this is all for today. We will be back with another story, another person. For now, be safe and stay tuned. Have a great day. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
ma'am.
Abhishek. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. I wish you massive success in all your future endeavors. And you're such an exciting person, interesting person, And the fact that you did your homework well and that we had such a prolific conversation speaks volumes about your interest and enthusiasm for your life. So I wish you massive success to your whole team and to all our viewers watching us right now, guys. Like, let's remember that an idea without execution is just an illusion, and your doing is far more important than your data. Let's start executing these ideas and let's start bringing the small win principle into our life. Let's start making each day special and not wait for the occasion, the big occasion to do something exciting in life. I wish you all the very best. Love and light.
Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Abhishek.